And just as we had planned, everything works out according to the plan. I done a full breakdown of Euro USD last week. Been waiting for this one for weeks and weeks and weeks actually. And essentially, we were patient, we were waiting, we made sure that we stuck to our plan, stuck to our risk management. You can see these triangles on the screen essentially represents every time I've dropped a breakdown. And I've also spoken about price consolidating more or less, coming back to entry multiple times at this place, which happened. And we can see that we are floating. Now on Friday, once the market came to a close to the closing time, I took off some positions. My stop now is at break even. And essentially, I'm just here to let you know how I'm planning on managing this trade going forward. There's not much management to do, seeing that I am at break even. However, I never took off 100%. I've taken off like 40% of my position. So until I've got like 90% taken off, now I'm still going to be monitoring this closely. What can I expect happen? Let's go to the weekly. Weekly time frame, an amazing push all the way down. We've closed with another bearish engulfing candle. Personally, what I would like to see is this candle on the weekly time frame to flip and continue making its downward momentum. But however, I must acknowledge the fact that there is another OB setting up right here on the weekly time frame. Now, at some point, price is going to want to come back to this level and perhaps even break through it. So I'm just keeping a close eye on this level. Now my stop is at break even. If it hits my stop at break even, that would be a bit disappointing. But remember, this is a massive drop on this pair, so we've definitely banked a lot on this position. If price wants to pull back, I see us pulling back into this region right here. Okay, into this region right here. And if that happens, then I'll expect the continuation. Now, the way I see it, the way I'm looking at the way price might move this week, obviously we have CPI coming up this week as well, so that could act as a catalyst. I do think there is different scenarios that we can look at for now. I think one of the scenarios is that price pushes back up and then drops. That will be scenario number one. Scenario number two would be something similar to what we had happen here. We had price come the one week, gave us a weak candle. The next week come and retested into that order block right there, as we can see. And then on the third week, only gave us the dump to the downside. Those are the three scenarios that has happened. Now, in this instance, I think we could have another run of this scenario where price took almost 3 weeks to give us the push to the downside. So this week we might get a smaller week, then it leaves a fair value gap and obviously leaves that order block open. The next week we might see price try and dive into that level, then maybe we'll have another accumulation phase, a reaccumulation phase where you can find a position to short and then continue. Or if price is essentially satisfied, because now looking at where we are at a very strong point of support because for months prices come into this region. We can see in November last year, we see that it came as well in May, and now we are back here. This could be then another push higher. That is definitely possible. So I can't just throw the idea away that this is a trade that is essentially going to continue pushing. We might see the pullback. This monthly candle has opened up with very little weak to the upside and pushed down. It's also broken that previous level. But if we do get the monthly closure, push down and continue, we might see price come all the way down to the levels at the bottom here. But that I've explained in the previous video. So we just need to understand that this is a level where we can expect some pullbacks and reversals. And the only thing we can do really is anticipate what might happen and plan accordingly. Now on the daily time frame, this is where we have price action as well. We have another order block right there. So obviously that means that we could see price come back into this level. It left this big gap here. What that is an untested level of support or resistance. So this is a support because we bounced off there, we bounced off there, and we bounced off here again. Now we finally broke through. So now this level is untested. Price is definitely going to want to come back to this level. At this point, we might, depending on how price moves, we might find positions to short again, depending on how the price action moves and how it develops throughout the week or the next 2 weeks. So like I mentioned, this is a swing trade and could potentially turn into a position holding trade. So we're going to continue holding this position until the market tells us otherwise. That is on the daily. On the 4 hour time frame, we can see now we are obviously consolidating. It's no use putting your stop loss right here because we have all the space to the upside. Price definitely could come as deep as this level right here because there we have another order block based on the 4 hour time frame. So that essentially will now look like this. If I just adjust it, now it will look like that. So we just need to understand exactly how far price can go. For me personally, I'm just going to keep my stop at break even, understanding that we might get price, you know, coming very close to that high and pushing all the way up and then rejecting from there. But like I've mentioned, I need to make peace with the fact that I've taken my profits. We've made a hell of a lot of money on this trade, close to about 40%. And essentially that will sustain us for the next few weeks uh, while price is now setting up for the next move. So for me, the next move on Euro USD, I think we can expect some pullbacks. We are at the critical zone. We can expect some pullbacks. I personally will not be looking to trade any positions. I'm not looking to buy anything right now. I will just let price do its thing. If the market has accumulated enough orders at this point, if this was a massive accumulation, if there's enough orders taken, then we should see price continue to roll over. Then what will happen is on the pullback, all of this will just become areas where we can look for long and it will be the inversion fair value gap setups for long positions in future. But for now, if there's enough orders accumulated, we'll continue pushing. If not, we will essentially come back and then start reaccumulating, manipulate, distribute again. That is essentially what I'm expecting to happen. So we need enough orders for price to continue pushing down. It's the first day of the week. There's no need to force anything. We've caught a massive trade on this. So just relax, let price come back to you, let it play out, let it do its thing. And then we're going to catch a beautiful trade again here on Euro USD. So for those who caught this, congratulations. Well done. See you guys in the next one.